I overheard my wife advising her kids, my stepkids, never to marry a single parent, claiming she'd divorce me the moment their father got out of prison. I stayed silent, pretending I didn't hear a thing. But that night, I started drawing my escape plan, and what happened next left them all in utter shock. Hello, Reddit I+ here. When I married Lila 3 years ago, I thought I'd found peace. After losing my first wife to illness and raising my son alone for nearly a decade, meeting her felt like fate giving me another chance. She was charming, funny, and had 2 kids from her previous marriage, Caleb, 16, and Mia, 14. They were polite enough at first, though distant. I didn't push. I figured time would build bridges. I provided, quietly and completely, the mortgage, groceries, school fees, braces, vacations. Most of it came out of my pocket. Lila said she'd pay me back when things got better. I didn't care. I just wanted a family again. Then, one quiet Sunday afternoon, everything changed. Lila was in the kitchen, talking in that hushed tone she used when she didn't want me to hear. I was fixing the loose drawer in the hallway, just around the corner. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when I heard my name, I froze. Listen, she said to her kids, promise me something. Never marry someone with children. It's too much baggage. People like him always come with problems. I remember blinking, trying to process her words. People like him? Caleb's voice came next, uncertain. But he's nice. He helps us. Lila let out a short laugh. He's a stepping stone, baby. Once your dad's out, things will go back to how they should be. I've done enough pretending silence. Then Mia whispered, you're going to leave him? As soon as your father's out of prison. He'll be out by the end of the year. Don't tell anyone. Especially him. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Every word hit like a nail being hammered into my chest. So that was it. The house, the smiles, the plans. Just a temporary performance. And I was the fool funding the show. I stood there for a long time, staring at the half-fixed drawer. When I finally walked away, my hands were steady. My mind was not. That night, while she slept beside me, I opened my laptop and began writing my escape plan. Not revenge, not anger, just freedom. Step 1, separate finances quietly. Step 2, cancel joint accounts. Step 3, transfer the house deed. It was under both our names, but I'd paid for it in full. Step 4, speak to a lawyer, but discreetly. Step 5, leave without warning. For weeks, I acted normal. I cooked, laughed, mowed the lawn, even helped Mia with her math homework. But inside, I was moving pieces she couldn't see. I rerouted my direct deposits to a new bank, sold my truck, and bought an older model in cash. I told her I was handling some work stuff. She barely noticed. My lawyer, an old friend from trade school, was shocked when I explained the situation. She's planning to dump you when her ex is out, he said, raising an eyebrow. I nodded. And she's not getting a penny from me when she does, he smirked. Then let's make sure she can't. By the time her ex was released from prison, my plan was in full motion. The day after his release, Lila started acting differently. She dressed up more, got secretive with her phone, went out late to meet friends. Her lies were lazy now. She thought I was oblivious. A week later, I came home to find her sitting at the table, smiling. We need to talk, she said. I almost laughed. She cleared her throat. I think we've grown apart. You're a good man, but I've realized I need to find myself again. It's best we separate. I looked her dead in the eye. You mean now that he's out? Her face drained of color. What? I leaned back. You really should have whispered quieter that day in the kitchen, she stammered. You heard? Every word, I said calmly. But don't worry, I won't make a scene. I'm already gone. The next morning, she woke up to an empty house. My things were gone. My bank transfers had cleared. The mortgage, once in both our names, was now fully in mine. I'd had her legally removed from the deed weeks earlier after proving she hadn't contributed financially. When she tried to fight it in court, everything fell apart for her. My lawyer presented the financial records, the audio clip from that afternoon. I'd installed a home security mic later that night, and a timeline showing her intent to defraud. The judge dismissed her claims entirely. Her ex didn't last long on the outside either, back in prison within months for violating parole. And Lila? She lost everything she'd tried to build off me. A year later, I stood in my new home, a small cabin near the lake. Peaceful, simple, mine. My son came to visit that weekend, and over a campfire he asked, "Do you ever miss them?" I thought for a long moment. "No," I said finally. "But I'm grateful for what they taught me." He frowned. "What's that?" "That sometimes," I said, poking the fire, "silence is the best weapon. Because when people show you who they are, you don't argue. You just start drawing your escape plan." When I posted my story online months later, I didn't expect it to go viral. but thousands of comments poured in from people who'd been used, manipulated, or deceived, and walked away stronger. And that, I realized, was the real ending. Not revenge, not bitterness, freedom. I thought it was over. I thought walking away cleanly, no shouting, no slamming doors, no begging, was enough. But people like Lila never stop when they lose control. They crave the last word, even if they have to lie, cry, or burn everything down to get it. After I left, my world got quiet, peaceful. I rented a small cabin near the lake while finalizing the divorce. Every morning, I made coffee on the porch and listened to the wind cut across the water. It wasn't much, but it was mine, bought with hard work and silence, not deceit. But peace doesn't come without a storm first. 2 weeks after I left, my lawyer called. "Brace yourself," he said. "She's filing for spousal support. Claims you abandoned her and her kids." I almost laughed. Abandoned? I funded that household for years. "She's playing the emotional angle," he warned. "Said she gave up her career to care for your blended family, and now she's destitute." I could practically hear the performance in her voice. Tears that could turn on like a faucet. The trembling tone she used to get sympathy. It was classic Lila. "Let her play," I said. "I've got receipts for everything." When the court date came, she arrived dressed in pale beige, the color of innocence, clutching tissues she didn't need yet. Her lawyer spoke first, painting me as a cruel man who discarded his family without warning. She sniffled. Perfect timing. Then it was my turn. My attorney calmly laid out the evidence. Bank transfers, screenshots, receipts, proof of her secret savings accounts, and yes, the recording from that day in the kitchen. The courtroom went silent as her voice echoed from the speaker. "He's just a stepping stone. Once your dad's out, things will go back to how they should be." Her face drained. Her eyes darted toward me, pleading silently. But I didn't flinch. The judge leaned back. "Mrs. Calloway," he said, "you're aware that conspiring to defraud your spouse invalidates most claims for support?" She didn't answer, just stared at the table, twisting her tissue. The judge continued. "Based on the evidence, this court denies your request for spousal maintenance and awards sole ownership of the property to Mr. Calloway." Just like that, it was done. But losing the case wasn't enough for her. When manipulation fails in the courtroom, it tries to find cracks in your emotions. She started calling. At first, it was polite. "Maybe we could talk," she'd say, for closure. Then came the guilt. "I can't believe you'd walk away from kids who loved you." Then the venom. "You'll die alone, and no one will care." I ignored it all. Silence, again, was my weapon. A month later, I heard from mutual friends that she'd started telling people I'd been abusive, that I'd controlled her, that she feared me. But rumors don't last long when truth has paperwork. Every story she spun crumbled under evidence. Text logs, receipts, witnesses. The people who once pitied her began to back away, tired of the drama. Even her kids, Caleb and Mia, grew distant when they realized how much she'd lied. Mia reached out one evening, voice trembling. She said things that don't make sense anymore. I just wanted to know, did you really plan to leave because of what she said? I hesitated. Yes, because when love turns into performance, you stop being a husband, you become a prop. She didn't speak for a long time. Then whispered, "I get it now." Lila's final act came 3 months after the divorce was finalized. She filed an emotional appeal, claimed she had new evidence proving I'd mentally manipulated her, but the judge dismissed it immediately, calling it an abuse of the court's time. I heard she broke down in the hallway afterward, screaming at her lawyer, accusing him of not fighting hard enough. She thought tears could rewrite facts. But the system isn't swayed by trembling hands when documents speak louder. That day, I signed the last piece of paperwork. It was official. I was free. Months passed. I rebuilt quietly. I went back to my work as an electrician. Small contracts, steady pay, no drama. My son came by often, helping me fix the place up. One evening, while we were replacing porch lights, he said, "You seem lighter now." I smiled, because I stopped carrying someone else's chaos. Half a year later, she showed up. It was late, around sunset. I saw her car pull into the gravel driveway. She stepped out, thinner, paler, but still wearing that look, the one that said, "I'll talk my way out of this." "I just wanted to see you," she said softly. "You look good." I crossed my arms. "What do you want, Lila?" Her eyes welled up. "I made a mistake. I thought things would be different when he got out, but he's gone again. And the kids barely speak to me." I said nothing. She took a shaky step forward. "We were good together once. Maybe we could start over." I let out a breath, slow and calm. "You burned that bridge, Lila. I didn't destroy you. You destroyed your own safety net." Her tears fell, but there was no truth behind them. They were rehearsed. "I don't have anyone," she whispered. I met her gaze. "Then maybe it's time you learn how to live without using someone else to stand." I turned, walked back into my house, and closed the door behind me. Through the window, I watched her car sit idle for a long time before she finally drove away, headlights cutting into the dark road, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel anger. Just clarity, because real revenge isn't shouting or proving you were right. It's walking away so completely that they have no version of the story where they win. And that night, sitting by the quiet lake, I realized something. I hadn't just escaped her. I'd escaped the person I became when I tolerated less than I deserved. That was the real victory.